It's really a great pleasure after so many years now being able to take part in this international conference in education. And as I already mentioned, I will talk today about learning about social diversity in a community-based research service learning project, changing students' conceptions and the impact on individual behavior. So this piece of research that I will present today are the final results from an accompanying research study of a study project course at the Institute of Geography at the Ruhr University Bochum, which focused on the topic social inequality, poverty, and housing. First of all, I would like to thank the students involved in the course to take part in this qualitative interview study and our community partners in the city of Bochum and Essen in Germany in the Ruhr area for their willingness to cooperate. Thanks goes also to UniActive, the university network Education Through Responsibility at the University of Duisburg-Essen, as well as the former members of the European Observatory of Service Learning in Higher Education. I also would like to thank Janine in particular, who did very valuable work in this project as a student research assistant and was especially responsible for conducting the qualitative interviews, so that is really important. Unfortunately, Janine cannot attend the conference today for professional reasons, but she's of course a co-author of the conference paper that you can find on the website of this conference. As I already mentioned, I will present today some results from a qualitative study as accompanying research of a study project course at the Institute of Geography at the Ruhr University Bochum. This course dealt with the topic social inequality, poverty, and homelessness in the old industrialized region of the Ruhr area. The course concept was new, developed, and was offered in this form for the first time. So, in our view, the socio-geographical issue, social inequality, poverty, and homelessness, is highly relevant in the Ruhr region. So it's in the western part of Germany, and requires further research on the one hand. Although homelessness and other signs or manifestations of poverty are images that are part of everyday life in many city centers in the Ruhr area, not enough attention is paid to this topic. Students have often little knowledge and awareness of life on these margins of society, the causes, the extent of this phenomena, realities of life. And this was the starting point for us to deal intensively with this topic for 1 year. So in our opinion, students should be aware and sensitized to social and socio-geographical issues with high relevance and reference to the region at an early stage in our view. The newly developed course design combined elements of the teaching formats of service learning and research-based teaching and learning, and is subsequently referred to as community-based research service learning. So we received the teaching grant from the university, program line research-based teaching and learning, and in this program the university promotes the developing and implementing of innovative and forward-looking teaching concepts. The funding procedure was competitive, and we considered both forward-looking approaches, research-based learning and service learning, as a form of experiential learning and have combined aspects of both teaching concepts in our study project. Research-based learning is a form of teaching and learning that integrates teaching and research, and it places the learner at the forefront like other forms of experience-based learning that are based on a constructivist understanding of learning. Empirical studies have shown that this approach increases students' research-related knowledge and knowledge of the research process. This can be seen as useful for later professional activities. For the study project course, I adapted the structure of a regular research process and the project and problem-based approach. Our highly diverse student group group worked in several project groups, guided and supervised by me as an experienced senior lecturer and researcher on the given topic of social inequality, poverty, and housing. The outcome of the study project included final reports and oral presentations by each research group. This format of research-based learning was combined with the service learning approach. Service learning combines academic learning with a service to community. The intention of service learning should be to focus equally on the service provided to the community and the learning process of the participants. Variations such as the indirect model of service learning have also been described. So we have a lot of empirical studies that are looking on the effectiveness of service learning and community-based research and demonstrate the general positive influence on a more comprehensive student skill development. For us, it was more important to look especially on diversity aspects, and we found that empirical studies that specifically deal with these diversity aspects of service learning projects are really rare, and that was also a reason why we decided we want to do this accompanying research focusing on diversity aspects. There is no universal definition for the concept of diversity and its dimensions, so it's a really absolutely complex phenomenon. So I just want to mention that for our research, it was important to focus on the 4 layers model of diversity from Gaudenswartz and Ruhr. We used it as a helpful theoretical framework also for our data analysis to understand the conceptions of diversity of our course participants. From all of the different definitions of diversity, I just want to point out one. So this is a definition from a German sociologist, Professor Andrea Dürmann, that is, I think, very helpful to develop an initial understanding. The term diversity is derived from the Latin word diversitas and refers to difference or variety. Diversity is generally used as the opposite of uniformity or unity, and diversity is concretized through different dimensions. So therefore, as a first approximation, diversity can be understood as a relationship between different dimensions of diversity and their characteristics. A well-known example is the diversity of workforces, which differ, for example, in terms of age, gender, social and ethnic background, or qualification. Now I would like to take a brief look at the specific diversity outcomes of a service learning project that are described in the literature. Service learning can contribute to scrutinize and rethink students' beliefs and assumptions about the population they work with, as well as students' notions about social issues by which the population they work with is affected. So by immersing yourself in a world that is different to your own, through personal contacts, interactions, and relationships that develop, talking to people, recognizing similarities and differences between the worlds themselves and the people serving for, through the practical experience gained and the reflections on it, social inequalities and injustices are recognized, understood in their complexity, and can be placed in the political concepts. In individual cases, we have a reinforcement of existing prejudices also. Other studies demonstrate that views of diversity change during a service learning experience, and that some participants develop a more complex, differentiated understanding of this topic. And I think that these findings of the empirical studies would also a starting point for thinking about doing some accompanying research of this study project and looking at the changing of diversity conceptions and the experiences of students with diversity in this project. Shortly to the course structure, it was a course that lasted 2 semesters and was designed as a study project or project seminar. The participant should learn the application of scientific research methods as well as forms of project management in theory and practice. So we had a really diverse student group. The predetermined topic was social inequality, poverty, and homelessness, and we had a regional focus on the Ruhr area as an old industrialized region, where social inequality, poverty, and homelessness is really a problem. The course content was prepared theoretically in advance based on extensive literature work and a secondary data analysis in order to focus specifically on 2 case study locations. And the responsible senior lecturer, so that was me, and the student research assistant accompanied the coordination processes with between the students and partner organizations, so social organizations in our 2 study locations. And also the work in these heterogeneously composed teams was moderated, and student experiences gained during the project were reflected in special sessions. The cities of Essen and Bochum were selected as case study cities for working on the overarching topic. We worked with social organizations. These were the Caritas in Bochum, a street newspaper organization, and the Association for Child and Youth Work in Socially Deprived Areas in the Ruhr region. So we had 3 community partners. The goal of our research study was to identify and classify different conceptions and meanings of the term social diversity amongst students. Another aim was to examine whether these conceptions have undergone a significant change. And finally, we wanted to know whether the learning experience with diversity aspects have resulted in longer-term changes in student views and behavior. So the following research questions were analyzed with a focus on diversity. What personal conceptions of social diversity exist? In the opinion of the students, where did aspects of social diversity play a role in the project work? How have these changed through the work in the community-based research project? What was generally learned from the experiences? What influence did the experiences have on attitudes and behavior? For the purpose of our study, we used a qualitative approach to deeply explore the course participants' complex conceptions. We conducted qualitative interviews with students after they had completed the course. These were conducted using the Zoom conference system. A total of 13 interviews were conducted, so we had 1 participant more in the course, but nearly all took part in our interview study. The interview length was usually around 60 minutes or between 32 minutes and 79 minutes. And the interviews also covered the topics of 3 other sub-studies, and the language was, with 1 exception, in German. Our participants were aged between 21 and 27 years old, 5 male and 8 female geography students in the bachelor degree program. 11 were born in Germany, of which 10 in the Ruhr region, and 2 in other European countries. Participation in the study was voluntary, and informed consent was obtained. The guideline was prepared according to the specification of Kruse-Helfferich and consisted of 12 narrative-generating key questions plus maintenance questions and specific follow-up questions on the topic diversity. The interviews were auto-recorded, and we also used an interview postscript sheet at the end. So we decided to use qualitative content analysis for analyzing our data. Following the specific approach of Philip Meyering as a first step. Because this approach is strictly rule-based, and this enabled us also to work closely as possible with the text. So we used inductive category formation method And yeah, I worked closely as possible at the text and tried to eliminate my own pre-understanding as far as possible. So in a second step, categories or themes developed from the text material, this inductive category formation, were merged, and some of them were also summarized into overarching themes. And to answer research question 1 about the different understandings of or conceptions of social diversity, I used mixed content analysis procedures and combined inductive and deductive approaches using the 4 layers model that I already mentioned as a theoretical framework for the main themes, main categories. I just want to skip that slide, but I just want to mention that if you're doing a qualitative content analysis, you have to strictly define a coding unit, a context unit, and recording unit. And that is written on this slide. For the analysis, I used MaxQDA software that it was developed from Professor Dr. Uwe Kuckartz from the University of Marburg formerly. So we were interested in describing these different conceptions and the experiences of the students. And on the other hand, we were also interested in measure the frequency with which different, for example, analytical concepts of social diversity occur in the study. So we were interested in numbers and word frequencies and code frequencies. And in the following, I will now present the results of the study in line with the research questions outlined above. First of all, it's about the course participants' understanding of social diversity. I think that is the most important question. And yeah, we assigned the course participants' conceptions of social diversity to the following main themes or categories or dimensions. And these are social diversity is a reality in Germany, characteristics of a diverse society, dimensions of diversity. And yeah, I think these are the main themes. And the dimensions of diversity, this comes from this 4 layers model of diversity that I've already mentioned. So yeah, these are the most important, and you can see also the numbers here. You have the code frequencies in relation to the documents, and also the valid percentages that are given in this table. I just also want to show you some quotes. I think that is also important for presenting the results of a qualitative interview study. So here's a quote that illustrates the challenge of making contact with vulnerable people. There's a quote that emphasizes the understanding of social diversity and refers to the layers of diversity personality. So diversity also means, of course, that everyone is somehow different and has their own way of doing things. And that's what I think is so exciting about living together with other people and interacting with them. And I think that's primarily what I would understand by social diversity. And another conception of social diversity that refers to the characteristics of a diverse society and the acceptance. So I understand it to mean that different ethnic groups, as well as different groups with different views, live together without conflict, or that each other opinion or appearance is accepted and does not lead to any conflicts. So when looking at the...
2 minutes to go. You have 3 minutes to go.
2 minutes, okay. Then I think I will skip the students' experience with social diversity during course work and just will go on with the change of views on social diversity diversity. So regarding the question of whether the understanding of social diversity has changed as a result of participation in the course, it appears that it is predominantly the case. Only 2 participants stated that their understanding of social diversity has not changed that much. It was said that the learning experience led to a clearer and more detailed understanding of social diversity, that the complexity of social problems was recognized, that one become aware that social diversity is a reality, and then that the complexity of social problems has been recognized. There's another quote that illustrate the more complex understanding of social problems. I will skip that also. Just at the end, the relevance for students' behavior and attitudes. So finally, it became apparent that a greater understanding of life realities, overcoming prejudices, as well as less fear of contact with homeless people were mainly of importance. So that the main learning effects of this study. Shortly to the strengths and limitations, I think the interview guideline was very good. Also, the data material was very good. We had a limitation because of the small number of course participants that took part in the course. And the most important limitation is the need to change the course schedule because of the COVID-19 pandemic. So after 1 semester, we had to switch in a purely online format, and close contact between students and community partners, as well as vulnerable people, homeless people, was not more possible. And that has absolutely an effect on the learning effect. I think that the results that we presented, or the learning effect, would be much greater if we would have the possibility to go on as it was originally planned. So just at the end, I would like to thank you for your attention, and looking forward for the other presentations and also for the discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Janine. Thank you so much. It was wonderfully done. You have a beautiful topic that you presented. Do we have any questions for